What's up, landlords? I got a scary movie for you. Enter the Twilight Zone. Live with squatters above you upstairs.
A local landlord says her home was trashed after she dealt with verbal threats and months of unpaid rent from a tenant.
And when she tried to reclaim her property, the struggle continued. Tonight, 7 investigates. Here's Samantha Coomer.
Wildia Capri immigrated to Boston as a child and always wanted to own a home.
It is the American dream.
But she says her dream turned into a nightmare after she bought this multifamily home in July of 2022 and rented out the upstairs unit.
Most of the cabinets, they're either broken or keyed. Microwave is completely broken. Fridge is keyed as well.
According to Wildia, her tenant caused the damage.
These glasses are completely gone.
She claims the relationship with the renter took a tumultuous turn just a few months into the lease.
Screaming, slamming doors upstairs, dropping things on the floor, breaking things upstairs, and at one point she threatened to come downstairs and cave my head in.
The tenant stopped paying rent, and despite an eviction notice, refused to move. This porch camera video shows the tenant in the red sweater shouting at Wildia, who is in the driveway. The heated exchange also involved other people living in the unit, swearing and spitting at Wildia's camera.
I feel alone and honestly very discouraged.
Wildia felt even more discouraged when she went to court to get her tenant evicted. She found the process complex, time-consuming, and expensive. The average eviction case takes more than 3 months.
If you're a corporation, it's easier for you to deal with these type of things. You have your lawyers, you have your, but when you're a first generation, you just bought your house, you basically dished out your life savings, and to not have the help at all.
Wildia eventually hired attorney Jordana Greenman, who says small landlords need help removing problem tenants.
Your average person, they can't afford an hourly lawyer. You cannot navigate the court system on your own.
And landlords like Wildia just want to reclaim their homes.
The state cannot accept that people like Wildia Capri are more common than they think, and that these landlords that are like this landlord are at risk of losing their homes themselves.
Although the tenant wouldn't talk to us, in court she said the unit had frequent utility problems, including issues with hot water, heat, and electricity. She also accused Wildia of retaliation and discrimination.
This is very, very discouraging. Like, what I went through, I was terrorized in my house for over a year. I wouldn't wish that on any other landlord, especially a small landlord.
The tenant did end up finally moving out last month. Wildia says she's owed around $7,000 in back rent and wants the court to make her former tenant pay.
A lot of times you think of the tenant as being the victim and everything.
Small landlords say they simply can't afford to house people for free.
In Los Angeles, Diane Golden said her upstairs tenant stopped paying rent.
When the pandemic first happened in March, I was like everybody else, like, what does this mean? And as far as being a landlord, I didn't project or see anything. I didn't put anything together in terms of eviction moratorium. What is that? None of that came to mind. As a matter of fact, the first month that my tenant didn't pay, I think it was in March, and I told him, I said, if I were working, I wouldn't either, because everything's just so uncertain. Next month, he paid, and then he skipped again, no problem. I trusted him. I figured he'll pay me back. I didn't know if or when my tenant was gonna pay rent. So it's like having your hands tied behind your back. And someone can just take and do whatever with your life, with your livelihood. There's so many people that think that landlords are bad, that landlords are rich, they have a lot of money, that landlords should not make a profit, that it's not a business, and that's why we're the scapegoats. In the end, I lost 11 months rental income. I have to eat, I have to get my medicines. Plus now, I've got legal bills because I need an attorney to know, how do you evict somebody? What would I do?
I'm getting to a point at the end, you'll see the lesson.
The landlord is concerned for his renters and property as he continues to deal with a problematic tenant. While the eviction process is underway, it could take much longer than expected. Eyewitness News reporter Michelle Fisher has the story.
The videos speak for themselves. An angry tenant literally kicking, screaming, and damaging property on his landlord's front doorstep.
Last night at midnight, I was already in bed asleep when he was just banging on my door, kicking it in. I called 911. I called 3 times, and I waited 2 hours for a response. He broke 3 cameras outside of my building. I kicked in my door.
It all happened here at this 4-unit apartment building just blocks away from the USC campus. The building's owner, Andrew, says it's not the first time the tenant has acted out.
He beat up his mother, and the police were called. He beat up his father the week after, I believe it was a week after, and the police were called. But police have been little help, and those troubles prompted Andrew to begin the eviction process for his safety and his tenants. I do feel responsibility. They've told me that they're in fear too. And I'm like, I'm doing the most I can. I'm doing the eviction process. It takes days. It takes months, actually. And even with this problem, it can't be expedited. For Andrew and other mom and pop landlords, resources are limited.
You actually do a Google search and you look, there are plenty of resources for tenants to fight being evicted, but there aren't any resources for the landlord.
Stuart Waldman, president of the Valley Industry and Commerce Association, says that pending legislation in the city would make it even tougher, barring landlords like Andrew from considering credit histories, prior evictions, and convictions for violence or sexual assaults.
The landlord really supposed to make a decision on who to pick to be a tenant if that were to pass.
For now, Andrew has to wait and hope for the best as the process plays out.
When it's happening, but when you go back and listen to it, it's like, hey, is he really going to break down my door? And it's already been 2 times, and what am I going to do once he's inside?
When the tenants know where you live and they can just show up at your doorstep like that, like, it can get dangerous, and you don't want to provoke them.
You unlocked my door.
What?
Yes, we left a note on your door yesterday.
You unlocked my door. You have no right to do that.
You pulled the note off the door saying that we would be here today, right?
You have no right to do that. That's very inappropriate. I'm pretty sure. I am pretty sure that is not what a landlord's supposed to do.
Well,
you do not have a right. You do not have a right. You basically broke into my house. You basically broke into my house. I will have August.
You said the batteries.
I will have August.
But you.
No, I will not shut up in my house,
John,
because I'm
it's
trying
not
to.
Your house. It's your.
John,
I am trying to tell you guys that I will have August month's rent for you today. I'm going to go and grab my check. I'm going to grab my check today.
Okay.
You're being very hostile. This is very inappropriate.
And this is typical of you.
Oh, typical of me?
Yes.
What am I doing? I have you on camera, dude. I have you all on camera.
Like I'm supposed to be scared or something?
I don't care.
Right,
if you're scared, you're still getting in my face, still walking towards me.
We pay the maintenance for this place.
And look,
we gave you a notice on the door written. And
you guys have basically been harassing me.
You're full of shit. What's your harassment for breaking this door?
John, take your pictures. No, you can't. Don't argue. It doesn't matter.
Yeah, I am. I am threatened.
So you want to get on his just take the pictures.
Being very inappropriate.
Right unless you yell at him.
What?
We are in the right unless you yell at him.
I have all this on camera. This is.
That's fine. Just take the damn pictures and can we go?
Please let me do it.
Don't argue.
You are making this worse. You are making this a lot worse than what this needs to be.
The longer you talk to me, because they won't.
No, the more you decide to do what you want to do is going to take long.
You had a notice.
Yeah, and I understand that, but you still have no right
And I
to
knocked
come into my
on
house.
the door, and you said nothing. Therefore,
I was
we opened the door.
getting up to
Did you
answer
say
the
anything?
door.
Did
I
you
don't
say-
need to say anything, bro.
Well, who knows that you're
I do
gonna
not
say-
need to say a thing to you.
I was here too. I heard him not only knock, but announce himself.
And
I did. I was right there. I heard it.
it doesn't matter. You don't have a right.
We
Yeah,
own
laugh.
this property right here, and you haven't paid rent for 3 months. So, you know,
And the
maybe
place-
you're
The same thing I've been telling you this whole time.
The garbage has
The
not been
same
taken
thing
out.
I have been telling
Take
you.
the picture so we can go.
This is why I record you every time you come into my home, because
John.
Celeste, can I get the
you're
goddamn
basically
camera?
very threatening.
You're threatening. You are threatening. You don't pay the rent. You break
Oh,
my
really?
house. You
Really?
break my stove.
I did not break that. And I told
You
you
didn't
that.
say anything when you signed the
You do not listen.
You didn't say
You
anything.
do not
You
listen.
didn't say anything when
I've explained everything to you. I've been very fair to
The
you.
camera's not working, Celeste.
Then let's come back another time. We'll be back tomorrow to take those pictures.
Right.
Let's
Okay,
go, John.
that is fine, but the way he's acting right now is inappropriate.
And you are an
And I'm an idiot.
Right.
Look at yourself. Go take a long look in the mirror, John. Go
At
take a
his
long
age,
look.
Nothing's going to change.
in the mirror.
Learn to be wise, will you?
Y'all need to learn to be wise, okay?
The law is on our side, John.
Look-
Get
oh.
out of there.
Oh,
John,
oh,
let's go.
oh.
And also the 30th.
Oh.
The 30th of September was the end of the period that we could evict you. So that hole in the wall will be fixed.
Oh.
Okay. We'll have the
Look
sheriff
at ya.
over here.
Look at ya. I will be sending this to the police. Thanks, John. You did yourself some justice.
Obviously, you can see that the landlord showing up there can provoke things and make it worse. The old lady said that they're in the right. Not for long, though, especially if tensions rise. Here's the worst case scenario, which ultimately we all should be aware of and make sure we avoid.
Edgar Moncayo and his wife lived downstairs and rented the upstairs, a gentle couple from Ecuador. They had 3 daughters and even more grandchildren. In this surveillance video, we're told Moncayo is on the phone telling his wife to call police. The renter, 22-year-old Alex Garces, is now under arrest and charged with manslaughter.
And I was very surprised because I saw him yesterday around 1 o'clock in the afternoon. He was alive. After I come back from church, the whole block was closed.
He's a great grandfather, actually, a hardworking man, had 3 daughters, several grandkids.
The lesson here, if you didn't already know it, is try not to let the tenants know that you're the landlord, and also not where you live. Ideally, you would like to have a rentals that are kind of in close proximity or at least in the same state, and you could show up to them if you needed to, and then you're performing property management tasks. You carry yourself like a professional company. You're just the property manager. You don't have to lie, because obviously this can all be looked up on public record. But if you operate with an LLC, you have a website, you have business banking, you have a professional address and number, and when you show up, you're just doing your job. You're a property manager, and if it starts getting out of hand and they're showing tendencies of being violent and stuff like that, all right, you need to get away. Maybe get a lawyer involved and just completely separate yourself from the situation. But it's rough whenever you got the tenants living right above you or next to you or something like that. I would suggest, hey, I don't know anything, I'm just putting this out here, see if we can learn from it, would be like, if you do have like rental tenants living in the backyard and they're renting like an in-law suite or something like that, and something bad happens, they stop paying rent, they lose their job, you should probably just get a lawyer involved right away and just like kind of like separate yourself. Because when you're the landlord showing up, hey, where's my rent? No matter how nice you are, you know, it's just doesn't seem like it's a good thing for me. Something to maybe consider. Hopefully this is helpful. I think I'm gonna get out of here. Let's see how many pull-ups I can do.
Landlord.